The rooftop terrace of the Montclair estate smelled like jasmine and old money. Twinkling string lights crisscrossed above 200 guests, and the late June heat clung to my bare shoulders like a warning I should have listened to. My sister had spent 3 months planning this rehearsal dinner, and every detail was flawless: the linen napkins folded into roses, the custom cocktails named after milestones in our relationship, the jazz quartet playing softly near the fountain. I should have been floating. Instead, my heels felt cemented to the flagstone. My fiancé, Tyler, was holding court near the bar, one arm draped around his older brother Greg, the other gesturing broadly, as he told some story that made his fraternity brothers erupt in laughter. He caught my eye and winked. That wink used to make my stomach flip. Tonight it landed like a coin tossed into an empty well. I took a sip of my gin and tonic and tried to name the unease coiling in my chest. Everything was fine. Everything was perfect. Tyler Ashford and Natalie Reeves, the golden couple. He was a portfolio manager at a mid-tier firm in Charlotte. I was a pediatric nurse practitioner running my own clinic in a suburb just outside the city. We'd been together 3 years. His family had embraced me from the start, or so I thought. Tyler's mother, Diane, appeared at my elbow. She was one of those women who never seemed to sweat, even in North Carolina humidity. Her blonde bob was lacquered into submission, her smile precise. "Natalie, sweetheart, before the toasts, Greg's wife, Monica, wants to go over a few things with you. Family tradition, nothing big. She's in the library." "Right now?" I glanced at the crowd. My maid of honor was mid-sentence with the florist. Diane's hand found my wrist. Her grip was delicate and absolute. "It'll only take a minute. You know how Monica gets when she's kept waiting." I followed her inside because that's what I'd been doing for 3 years, following the current of the Ashford family without questioning where it led. The library was dim, smelling of leather and furniture polish. Monica sat in a wingback chair like she owned the room. She did, in a sense. As the wife of the eldest Ashford son, she had assumed a role in that family that I was only beginning to understand. A manila folder rested on her lap. "Close the door, Natalie." I closed it. Something about her tone made me leave my hand on the knob. "I put this together for you," Monica said, opening the folder and spreading several printed pages across the coffee table. "Think of it as an onboarding guide." I stepped closer. The first page was titled, "Ashford Family Expectations New Member Integration." It was formatted like a corporate document, complete with bullet points and subsections. My eyes caught phrases as I scanned. Weekly family meal preparation and hosting rotation, management of household correspondence and social calendar for senior Ashfords, coordination of holiday logistics, including travel arrangements for all family members, quarterly review of personal household budgets submitted to family treasurer, Monica Ashford. I looked up. "What is this?" "It's how we do things," Monica said, crossing her legs. "Diane handled all of this before Greg and I got married. Now it's shared between the wives. With you joining, the load gets lighter for everyone. You want me to submit my household budget to you. Quarterly. It's not about control, Natalie. It's about cohesion. The Ashford family operates as a unit. We pool certain responsibilities. The women manage the domestic infrastructure, so the men can focus on building wealth. It's a system. It works." I picked up the second page. There was a section labeled Availability Standards. It read, "New family members are expected to be reachable by phone within 30 minutes for family matters. Sundays are reserved for Ashford family functions, no exceptions. Personal travel must be communicated to the family calendar coordinator, currently Monica, at least 3 weeks in advance for approval." "Approval," I said flatly. "I need approval to travel." "Coordination," Monica corrected, her smile tightening. "We coordinate." The third page stopped me cold. Financial integration timeline. It outlined a phased plan for merging my personal finances into something called the Ashford Family Trust within the first 2 years of marriage. My clinic revenue, my savings, my inheritance from my grandmother, all of it funneled into a trust managed by Greg and Tyler's father, Richard. "My clinic," I said, my voice strange in my own ears. You want my income from my clinic to go into a family trust that Richard controls. Richard is a brilliant financial mind. He's grown the family's wealth for decades. Your little clinic does well, I'm sure, but imagine what that revenue could become with proper management. My little clinic, the one I'd built from a single exam room and $60,000 in student loans. The one where I saw 40 patients a week, most of them kids on Medicaid whose parents couldn't afford the fancy practices across town. My little clinic. I set the pages down carefully, aligning their edges with a precision that surprised me. Does Tyler know about this? Monica's expression flickered the briefest crack in her porcelain composure. Tyler understands how the family operates. He grew up in it. That's not what I asked. Does Tyler know you're showing me this document tonight? The night before our wedding? She stood, smoothing her dress. Natalie, every woman who marries into this family receives this. I did. I adjusted. You will too. It's not optional. It's the price of admission. I looked at her for a long moment. The jazz quartet's muffled melody drifted through the walls. 200 people were outside waiting to toast our future. My wedding dress was hanging in the bridal suite upstairs, $11,000 of silk and hand-stitched lace that I had paid for entirely by myself. Thank you for showing me this, Monica, I said. My voice was calm and clinical, the same tone I used when explaining a difficult diagnosis to a frightened parent. I need a few minutes. She hesitated, clearly expecting more resistance, or perhaps immediate compliance. When I offered neither, she gathered the folder and left. I stood alone in the library and called my best friend Priya. She was a contracts attorney at a firm downtown. She picked up on the first ring. Aren't you supposed to be accepting toasts and looking radiant right now? I need you to pull the deed on my house. Tonight. Silence. Then, in a voice stripped of all warmth, tell me everything. I did. When I finished, Priya exhaled slowly. Don't react. Don't confront. Come to my office at 8 a.m. tomorrow. And Natalie, do not sign anything between now and then. Not a card, not a receipt, nothing. I hung up and walked back to the terrace. The toasts had started. Tyler's father, Richard, was standing with a glass of bourbon, his voice carrying the easy authority of a man who had never been told no. To my son and his beautiful bride, Richard said, beaming. Tyler, you've chosen well. Natalie is everything we hoped for, smart, hardworking, and ready to be part of something bigger than herself. Welcome to the family, Natalie. We can't wait to put you to work. He laughed. The crowd laughed. Tyler laughed. I smiled. The smile cost me something I wouldn't get back. After the dinner, Tyler drove us home. Our home, a 3-bedroom Craftsman in Dilworth that I had purchased 2 years before we met. When Tyler moved in a year ago, I'd added him to the mortgage as a gesture of trust. He contributed $800 a month toward the payment. My share was $2,200. The equity I'd built before he arrived was north of $140,000. You were quiet tonight, he said, loosening his tie. Just tired. Monica said she talked to you about the family stuff. The orientation thing. He said it casually, like he was mentioning the weather. She did. And what, Tyler? She handed me a document that says, I need to submit my budget to her and funnel my clinic income into your father's trust. He sighed, the way he always sighed when I raised something he didn't want to discuss, heavy, performative, designed to make me feel like the difficult one. It's not as intense as it sounds. It's just how the family stays organized. My mom did it for years. Monica does it now. It's tradition. Your mother didn't have a career. Monica quit her job when she married Greg. I run a medical practice. Nobody's asking you to quit. No, they're asking me to hand over my revenue. It's not handing over. It's investing. Dad has averaged 12% returns for 20 years. You'd be lucky to... He stopped himself, but not quickly enough. Lucky to what? Lucky to let your father manage the money I earned? You're twisting this. Tyler, did you know about this before tonight? He turned away, pulling off his shoes with unnecessary focus. I knew there was a general process. I didn't know the specifics. You didn't read the document? It's not really my area. Monica and my mom handle that side. That side. The side where the women in his family were organized into a service hierarchy while the men built wealth with pooled resources they didn't earn. I sat on the edge of the bed and watched him move through his nighttime routine: face wash, floss, moisturizer, as though tomorrow were just another Saturday and not the day I was supposed to stand across from him and promise my entire life. Tyler, the house. When I added you to the mortgage, what exactly was filed? What do you mean? I mean the paperwork. Your father's friend handled the refinancing when we added your name. I signed a stack of documents. What did they say? They said we're both on the mortgage. It's our house, Natalie. Are we joint tenants? Tenants in common? Is there a deed of trust? He stared at me. Why are you asking me this the night before our wedding? Because your sister-in-law just showed me a plan to absorb everything I own into your family's financial structure. And I'm realizing I don't actually know what I've already signed. His face changed. The easygoing Tyler. The charming Tyler. The Tyler who brought me coffee every morning and rubbed my feet after 12-hour shifts that Tyler vanished. In his place was someone colder, smaller, cornered. You're being paranoid, he said quietly. This is what you do. You overthink everything until you ruin it. I didn't sleep. At 6 a.m., while Tyler was still unconscious, I took my laptop to the kitchen and logged into the county recorder's website. It took me 20 minutes to find what Priya confirmed an hour later in her office. They restructured the deed, Priya said, turning her monitor toward me. When you refinanced to add Tyler, the attorney Richard's contact converted your sole ownership into a tenancy in common. Not joint tenancy. Tenancy in common. What's the difference? Joint tenancy means equal ownership, and if one of you dies, the other inherits automatically. Tenancy in common means you each own a separate share, and here's the fun part. She pointed to a line on the screen. Your shares aren't equal. Tyler is listed as owning 60%. The room tilted. 60%. He put in less than 20% of the total cost. It gets worse. There's a recorded transfer document from 3 months ago. Tyler conveyed 10% of his interest to the Ashford Family Trust. His father is the trustee. Tyler gave part of my house to his father. 3 months ago. Without your knowledge or consent, yes. I sat there, my wedding dress waiting in a garment bag, at a venue 30 minutes away. 200 guests already on their way. A string quartet tuning up. A minister reviewing his notes. And my house. My house had been quietly carved up and redistributed to a family that considered me a new hire. What do I do? You don't get married today, Priya said. That's step 1. I called my sister first. Then my maid of honor. Then the venue coordinator. I did not call Tyler. At 10 a.m., the time I should have been in a makeup chair, I was in Priya's conference room drafting a demand letter. My phone was face down on the table. It had not stopped vibrating since 9:15, when Tyler apparently woke up to an empty house and a missing bride. By noon, I had 19 missed calls from Tyler, 7 from Diane, 4 from Greg, and 11 from Monica. 53 texts. I read none of them. Priya's paralegal brought us lunch. Between bites, Priya laid out the legal landscape. Fraud in the inducement. You refinanced based on the understanding of equal ownership. The attorney, acting on Richard's behalf, structured it to benefit Tyler disproportionately and then facilitated a partial transfer to the family trust without your knowledge. We file for rescission of the deed modification, demand reconveyance of the trust-held interest, and if they fight us, we add the attorney to the lawsuit for malpractice and breach of fiduciary duty. My phone lit up. Tyler. I answered on speaker. Where are you? His voice was shattered. There are 200 people at the church, Natalie. 200 people. My mother is having a panic attack. I'm not coming, Tyler. What are you talking about? Is this about last night? About Monica's stupid folder? I told you, it's not. It's about the deed, the 60-40 split, the transfer to your father's trust. Dead silence. Tyler, You gave 10% of my house to your father without telling me. That was Dad said it was for estate planning. It was supposed to protect us. Protect who? You own 60% of a house you've paid less than 20% into. Your father owns another 10. I paid for this house, Tyler. I own 30% of my own home. We can fix it. I'll fix it. Just come to the church. We'll sort it out after. After we're legally married and my assets become even more complicated to untangle? No. You're ruining everything. His voice cracked into something raw and ugly. Do you know what this looks like? Do you know what people are going to say? I know exactly what it looks like. It looks like I caught you. I hung up. Priya was already typing the demand letter. By 3 p.m., the letter was sent. By 4, Richard Ashford called Priya's office directly. I listened on speaker as his deep, measured voice attempted to reframe grand larceny as a family disagreement. Miss Sharma, I'm sure we can resolve this privately. The deed structure was a standard estate planning measure. Natalie simply didn't understand the document she signed. A bit of confusion, nothing more. A bit of confusion, Priya repeated. Your handpicked attorney restructured my client's sole ownership property to give your son majority control, and then facilitated a partial conveyance to your family trust, all without my client's informed consent. In North Carolina, that's fraud. The recorded documents speak for themselves. Now let's not throw around words like fraud. These are good people. Tyler loves Natalie. Tyler's love currently looks like 60% of a house he didn't pay for. My client's demand is simple. Full reconveyance of the property to her sole ownership within 72 hours, or we file suit Monday morning. And Mr. Ashford, given your attorney's involvement, we'll be filing a complaint with the state bar as well. Richard's voice hardened. You're making a mistake. The Ashfords have deep roots in this community. This kind of hostility will not serve your client well. Was that a threat, Mr. Ashford? Because I'm recording this call, one-party consent state, and threats against a fraud victim make for excellent exhibit material. He hung up. That evening, alone in a hotel room I'd booked under my own name, I opened my phone for the first time in hours. 112 notifications. Texts from guests, confused and concerned. Calls from Tyler, alternating between pleading and rage. A voicemail from Diane that started sweet and ended venomous. Natalie, this tantrum has humiliated our family in front of everyone we know. You will regret this, mark my words. And one text from Monica, sent at 5:47 p.m. You have no idea what you've started, but it was the email that stopped me cold. From a sender I didn't recognize, the subject line reading simply, "You need to see this." It was a forwarded message chain between Tyler and Greg, dated 4 months prior. Tyler had written, Dad's guy restructured the deed. She didn't even notice. Once we're married, the trust absorbs her share automatically under the postnut Monica is drafting. Her clinic revenue, everything. Dad says, give it a year before we push the financial integration. Let her settle in first. Greg's reply, smart. Monica's folder will soften her up at the rehearsal dinner. By the time she realizes what happened, she'll be in too deep to fight it. Tyler's last message. She trusts me. That's the whole play. She trusts me. That's the whole play. I forwarded the chain to Priya without comment. Her response came in 90 seconds. They planned this. Premeditated financial fraud with documentation. This isn't a family misunderstanding, it's a conspiracy. I'm calling my litigation partner. We're going nuclear. The next 72 hours were war. Monday morning, Priya filed suit. The complaint named Tyler, Richard, Greg, Monica, and the attorney who had handled the deed restructuring. Fraud, conspiracy, conversion, breach of fiduciary duty, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. The filing became a matter of public record. By Monday afternoon, a reporter from the Charlotte Observer had picked up on it. A source inside the courthouse had flagged it. The Ashford name carried weight in Charlotte, and their dirty laundry was news. Tyler called me 17 times on Monday. I answered the 18th. Call off the lawsuit, he said. No greeting, no pretense. My father will give you the house back. Full ownership. We'll unwind everything. Just call off the suit before it hits the papers. It already hit the papers, Tyler. What? The Observer called Priya for comment an hour ago. The sound he made was something between a gasp and a groan. You're destroying my family. Your family destroyed my trust and stole my property. I'm just letting the public record reflect that. What do you want? Just tell me what you want, and I'll do it. Full reconveyance of the property to me. Reimbursement of every dollar I spent on the wedding, $43,000 in deposits, most of which are non-refundable. A signed affidavit from you admitting to the premeditated restructuring of the deed. And the email chain between you and Greg entered into the court record. The emails, does it matter? Will you agree to the terms? The affidavit would end my career. If my firm sees that, you should have thought about that before you emailed your brother that my trust was the whole play. He started to cry. Not the theatrical tears of a man performing remorse, but the ugly, helpless sobbing of someone watching their carefully constructed life collapse. 3 years ago, that sound would have broken me. Now, it was just noise. Talk to Priya, I said, and hung up. They settled on Wednesday, every term accepted. The reconveyance was filed by Thursday. The wedding deposits were wired to my account by Friday. Tyler's affidavit, carefully worded by his own attorney to limit criminal exposure while satisfying my demands, was signed and sealed. On Saturday morning, exactly 1 week after I was supposed to become Natalie Ashford, I stood in my house, solely and completely mine, and drank coffee at my kitchen island. The silence was extraordinary. Not empty. Full of everything I had almost given away. My phone buzzed. Priya. The Observer piece is running tomorrow. They reached out to the state bar about the attorney. He's already resigned from his firm. And I got a call from a producer at a local news station. They want to do a segment on financial fraud in premarital agreements. They want you. May? You're the story, Natalie. The woman who walked away. People need to hear this. I thought about the email chain. She trusts me. That's the whole play. I thought about every woman who had sat across from a man she loved and signed something she didn't fully understand because trust felt like enough. Set it up, I said. 3 months later, I stood in front of a conference room full of women nurses, teachers, small business owners, a retired judge, 2 law students, and introduced the first session of a free monthly workshop I'd built with Priya called Before You Sign. We covered prenuptial agreements, property deeds, joint accounts, power of attorney, and the quiet ways financial control disguises itself as love. After the session, a young woman lingered. She couldn't have been older than 24. She clutched a folder to her chest, her knuckles white. My fiancé's mother gave me something like what you described, she said quietly. A list, expectations. She said it was tradition. What did you do? I came here. I smiled at her a real smile. The first one in months that didn't cost me anything. Then, you've already done the hardest part. Sit down. Let's look at what you've got. Outside the window, Charlotte shimmered in the autumn light. My phone was quiet. Tyler was gone last I'd heard. He'd moved to Raleigh, taken a lesser position at a smaller firm, and started therapy. I wished him well in the abstract way you wish a stranger well. Richard and Diane had retreated into their fortress of wealth and silence. Greg and Monica's marriage, I'd been told, was under strain. Something about Monica's management of the family accounts not holding up under the scrutiny my lawsuit had invited. None of it was my concern anymore. I had my house. I had my clinic. I had Priya on speed dial and a workshop that was growing faster than I could schedule rooms for it. I had mornings that belonged to me and evenings that were quiet in the best possible way. I didn't throw anything into the ocean. I didn't need a symbolic gesture. The symbolism was in the ordinary. My name alone on the deed, my coffee in my kitchen, my life arranged exactly the way I designed it. The young woman opened her folder, and I leaned in to read. The work wasn't dramatic. It wasn't cinematic. It was a Tuesday afternoon in a borrowed conference room, one woman helping another read the fine print before it was too late. That was enough. That was everything.